promise you. I just have no balance. How you guys doing?
Good.
Can you hear me? All the way in the back? Excellent. Guys, this feels so great. And I want to just take a moment to thank a few folks. I want to thank you all, first of all, for coming, for being so supportive, not only tonight, but really throughout my entire life. I see people I have known at every stage of my life who have always been there, not only for me, but for my lovely wife, Serena, who I want to give a hand to as well. She's the rock upon which we have built this family and this campaign, and I love her so much, and this would not be at all possible without her love and support and commitment and money. She's my sugar mama, as you guys know. I love my job and I'm doing this full time. Serena's a brilliant dentist. We own a family dental practice in Fairfax, Virginia. A number of you are actually her patients and can attest to her brilliance. And so I just want to thank you so much for being such a wonderful partner and supportive wife. I also want to thank, just very quickly, a couple of friends. We had a fundraiser here in 2010. Some of you guys might have been here for a guy whose name you might have heard since that time. He's a guy I grew up with. We literally grew up across the alley from one another in D.C. He's always been a phenomenal public servant, and everything that Reggie Knight said about me applies to this man in equal, if not greater measure. He has one of the biggest hearts I've ever known. He is changing the lives of so many people in this city and throughout Ward 5. When we had this fundraiser in 2010, I remember a lot of folks saying, well, why are you guys doing this? You can't win this seat. You maybe need to wait another 10, 15, 20 years to get it done. But they didn't know how big we dreamed. And they didn't know who we knew. And they didn't know how big people would step up for us. And as a result, I'm so happy to reintroduce you to someone who's on the host committee for tonight, my great friend and brother and the council member for Ward 5 in the District of Columbia, Kenya McDuffie. I thought about this, and I want to thank so many people. It would take me all night to thank you all, because I do want to thank you individually. I look forward to doing that tonight, throughout the course of this campaign, and throughout the rest of our lives, frankly. As you know, those of us, you who know Serena and I, we have family and friends, but we really don't make much of a distinction. Everybody becomes family to us, and you guys have always been so warm and welcoming to us, and it really has transformed everything we've been able to do in our lives. Tonight is more evidence of that. And what we're going to do next is going to shock a lot of people. Are you guys ready to shock some folks?
Yeah.
All right, you ready to shock the world? Because they have said a lot of the same things about our race they said about Kenya's race. And they've said about things that you dreamed about. I know people in this room who, when we first met, were scraggly high school kids or college kids hanging out at a party, or law school students or friends working on the Hill or working at a law firm and trying to make our way. And now these are some of the most phenomenally talented, most accomplished people I know. And you guys always dream very big for yourselves, but you also always dreamed very big for other people. And so that is what this campaign is about. Not only dreaming big about what we can do, what I can do personally in this race, but dreaming big for other people, for kids all throughout Virginia, for families who want access to the exact same American dream that I've been fortunate to have access to. Reggie talked a little bit about this. As many of you know, I grew up here in D.C., right off of North Capitol Street. And it was at a tough time that we moved to D.C. It was in the mid-1980s. It was a very hard time for the city, as many of you know who lived here. A lot of drugs, gang violence. And so we had to maneuver our way through that. It was a very tough environment. But the fact is, I've gotten to live the life that I've lived and have the opportunities that I've had, not only because of hard work and all the things that people focus in on, but because other people dreamed very big for me, and they stepped in at every critical juncture in my life, and they changed the odds for me. There were some very, very big odds that I would get to do anything. Some of you, I was able to send a speech to. Quite a few heard the speech I gave at National High School on June 1st this past year. They invited me to be the commencement speaker. They ran out of anybody else to ask, so they got to the end of the list, and I was there. So I was very honored. It was one of the privileges of my life to give that speech. But in that speech, what I talked about was the ability to change odds in other people's lives. And what I also told all the students there, something that I believe to my core that's been part of my experience, is that I was rich even back then, and that they are all rich today. They don't have to go through life to become rich. They're rich because of the people they know. They're rich because of the families they have, and the values they carry, and the dreams that they dream. They're rich today, and they can achieve absolutely anything in their lives they want to. Somebody told me that. Somebody gave me that gift when I was a very young child, facing those very significant odds. They told me that, I believed it, and the other thing that they did is when I came up against the biggest odds you could ever imagine, they stepped in and they changed me. Whether I was committing to make sure I get an education, it wasn't a question of whether you could afford it. I couldn't afford anything. But folks stepped in, both people who I knew. My parents, my grandparents, family members, friends, but also people I've never met before, whose names are here on scholarships, and I've never met the family. I've never met the person who sponsored it. But those people have changed the odds for me along the way. When I, started off in my career, I started Wilmer Hill. I see a lot of my wonderful, beautiful Wilmer Hill colleagues here at the law firm. Andre, Allison are here. I've had people who have mentored me and made sure that I never stopped, that I never felt like I'm done, I've achieved my dreams, nothing else is possible. They have always stepped in and changed the odds for me. And throughout the rest of my life, that has been the case. I can go through so many examples. That's what this is about. That's why we're running. I am so passionate, not only about public service, but about giving people the same opportunities that I've been fortunate to have in my life, that other folks have given to me, about changing their odds in life. And so, as we travel around Virginia, and frankly around the country, people have gotten very excited about the message that we brought, about the energy that we brought. Democrats, this is not a partisan thing, it's just a fact, have not won the AG's office in Virginia since 1989. So we will be going on 25 years by the time of the next election. The Democrats have captured this office. They've won the governorship, they've won the lieutenant governorship, but have not won the AG's race since 89. And what we believe is that this time can be different, and that it will be different. Because we are connecting with people in a way that people have not done in decades. We're bringing a message that really focuses in on changing their lives and the prospects for them and their families and their kids. The current AG, you guys may have heard of a guy by the name of Ken Cuccinelli. Who's heard of him? Boo. I was going to say don't boo vote, but the president's so much smoother at it than I am. So, but no, definitely. So he's not running for AG again. He's running for governor in Virginia, which is worse. He has been one of the most divisive, I don't call him a public servant, because I think when you divide people, when you focus 100% of your time on the 20% of the things that divide us, I don't think that's public service. I think it's abuse of your office. And so I think we need an entirely new approach. We need somebody who's going to not focus in on those issues that divide us, that don't make us better off, who's going to focus in on the things that change the future, that change the odds for people. So we are going to focus in on economic issues that go to the heart of whether or not somebody can achieve the American dream. We'll talk a lot about our platform. You guys will read a lot more about it. We're going to focus in on, for instance, the mortgage market, making sure that more people can keep their homes in Virginia. We've had 85,000 foreclosures in Virginia in the last 5 years. A quarter of the homes in Virginia are underwater, and people have lost $26 billion in equity in their homes due to foreclosures in the neighborhood. And what that's led to is not only a rash of homes being closed and people having to move, but when you lose your home, as you guys know, you don't just lose 4 walls and a roof, you lose the heart, for most families, of their economic security. That's how they save for retirement, to allow their kids to go to college, to make sure that things are possible along the way. So for us, that's not just an issue, that's about people, that's about families, that's about changing odds. So we're going to get in there, we are going to fight on a number of fronts, whether it's mortgage fraud, unequal lending practices, mortgage foreclosure scams. We have a whole raft of things that we're going to fight on. And as you guys know, I'm a fighter. I talked to tonight, it was bad when I was younger, I got beat up a lot, but it taught me some lessons that you don't quit. When there's something you believe in, you get in and you fight, particularly when it's for other people, because they fought for you. So now it's my turn to fight. Judge Lee, who I clerked for, just as an aside, is a wonderful man. Megan, I mentioned him, my co-clerk Zubair Williams is here, and a lot of other folks connected with Judge. He told me, when I clerked for him, that this may be the most important phrase that you'll have going forward. He said, to whom always thinking growing up that the phrase was, to whom much is given, much is expected. You guys may have heard that interpretation. He said no, to whom much is given, much is required. It's not optional. And I've been given so much. And I've gotten to come so far because so many people have invested in me along the way. And now it's my time to step up and to give service. Now it's my time to give back. It's required. It's not optional. That's why we're in this race. That's why we're in this fight. In addition to the home mortgage market, we're going to focus in on student lending practices. Because again, for me, that was something that opened up an entirely different world. We need to have transparency, affordability, and fairness in the student lending market. If you're a student, many of you all had to take out student loans, go to law school, grad school. We right now treat kids coming out of high school who want to go to college as profit centers, as people to make money off of when they come to take loans. We also judge them in the interest rates they pay based on the credit of their parents in most cases. So kids who already start off in such circumstances start even further behind solely because of the circumstances their family find themselves in. We think everybody should start at the same place. Everybody should be treated fairly, and they should not be weighted down before they even start in the race. We're going to fight on that front when I'm Attorney General. We're also going to fight for small businesses. We are very fortunate to be small business owners. Serena and I, we bought the practice about 5 years ago. The only reason we're able to do that is because Serena is such a brilliant dentist. She had a wonderful education. We also had access to capital. And that has literally transformed our family, frankly, and what's possible for us. We think everybody deserves that shot. There's nothing special about us that means we should be one of the only ones who gets that. That should be accessible to everybody. And so we're going to fight on that front as well. We're also going to make sure that communities are safe. As a federal prosecutor, I've prosecuted violent crimes, gangs, guns, drugs, trafficking in our neighborhoods, and that's something I'm very passionate about. Because I think kids cannot learn in an environment where they're not safe. You can't start businesses in an environment where there's high crime rates. And kids don't dream as big when what they see outside their front door is not what you and I want to see in our own neighborhoods. So we're going to fight on that front too. There's a whole host of issues we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk to you more about it. But what it boils down to is what I started out talking about. It's about changing the odds for people in their lives and making sure they have access to the Virginia dream and the American dream. That is every fiber of my being. We've been going around talking to donors, political electeds, activists, and folks are getting extremely excited. I've gotten phone calls from some people whose names you might know, some national figures who are very excited about our race. I've sat down with some folks who are very big in Virginia and across the country who want to see us succeed and who think we finally have a shot to do this because of the way we're doing this and because of what we're putting into it in terms of ideas and energy and the people. But what's going to determine whether or not we can do this is all those things, but it's also you guys. It's your support. It's your help. You've shown up tonight. You've made that commitment, and we're going to ask that commitment of you through this entire race, this entire campaign. That is going to change the honest president's race. And when folks look at us, just like they look at King and they say, well, why are you running this thing? You know, you can't win this thing. Nobody knows your name. You haven't raised money before. What we tell them is we smile a little bit, and we say, you don't know who we know. Just like every time I've ever faced in my life, they didn't know who I knew. They didn't know you guys. They didn't know the people in our lives who were there to change the odds for us. So please, stay with us. Give us your commitment. You have done that. Help us change the odds in this race. Because what that will allow us to do is to change the odds for children and families all throughout Virginia and throughout this country. So I want to thank you guys. We love you so much. Are you fired up?